Hey everybody, it is day 14 and we are talking today about character growth and how they develop throughout the course of the story. If you haven't hit that subscribe button below, hit it now, and then whatever it is you're drinking today, for me, I'm back to water. Go ahead and grab a cup, cozy up, and let's get to writing. First of all, I want to make a distinction between what we did on day one, which was character development, and what we're doing today. So I may use the word development, but this is a different idea because what we were working on at first was coming up with what the character is like. So this is not about just new descriptions of them or new information about them, but we're specifically talking about how they change as a result of the story around them, how that affects them, and how they grow from the beginning of the story to the end. So I want to talk about the different kinds of growth that we can experience throughout the course of the story. The first one we're going to visit is physical changes. So I want you to picture your character going through the Rocky montage of getting super fit and buff and running up the stairs, and all of a sudden they can do all of these things that they weren't able to do before. So physical changes are also not necessarily positive all the time. This could also be if your character completely lets themselves go and all of those Rocky muscles go into atrophy and they all go away. This could also be that if your character made a decision throughout the course of the book that caused them to sustain a life-changing injury. That would count as a physical change as well. We probably wouldn't call it growth at that point, but it is a character arc and a character development. Now those physical changes tie in very closely with another change I want to visit, which is the skills that they learn along the way. So this is the Karate Kid learning how to fight, but it can also be a character who becomes a lawyer because their sister was murdered and they want to go put all the bad guys away. That could be a skill that they learn. This could also be your character learning an instrument along the way. One of the best books that does this is Name of the Wind, where the character is in such turmoil as a child, and the way that he brings himself out of it is by just playing and playing and playing music, and he just plays till his fingers bleed, and he gains a lifelong skill along the way. This can also look like your character leveling up their magic skills. So if they've got a magic power, this would be them making it stronger or making it more accurate, really focusing on a way to make it better. Now, another character development that our readers can experience is psychological changes. So for better or for worse, this could be, this is Katniss in the Hunger Games developing PTSD after she's been through all the trauma that she's been through. This could be your character coming to peace after a lifetime of guilt, or coming to terms with something that they didn't like that is a permanent change that they can't do anything about. So think about your psychological changes too. And then also closely related to psychological changes is what I like to call enlightenment. So this is where your character learns from something. So this would be like the Malfoy family, seeing everything that Voldemort is doing throughout the course of the Harry Potter series. And at the very end, they're like, you know what? We don't actually want to fight for you. I would consider that enlightenment. It would also be, in Secrets of the Tally, book 1 of my series. That is where main character Halie realizes, spoiler, that she has completely drawn all the wrong lines on who's a good guy and who is a bad guy, and she has to completely change her outlook on the whole world. This is also like The Giver, where society has taken all of the joys and the struggles out of life, and you've got your main character Jonas, who's like, yeah, this is great, but he doesn't realize he's living in a dull, colorless world until he experiences what real life can feel like, and then his entire outlook on the world changes. He no longer thinks that living that dull, boring, safe existence is the way that humanity is supposed to be. I consider that enlightenment as well. Now, your character growth is not going to fit neatly into any one of these categories that I've given you. It's a lot more complicated than that because there's a lot that goes in to changing a character and making their outlook shift. So that's often going to fit into multiple categories. And also, sometimes it's hard to tell if it's even a positive or a negative change. Sometimes it's just complicated, and that's a good thing. One of my proudest moments in all of my entire series is that one of my good guys, midway through the series, gets basically taken by the bad guys and molded and shaped to be more like them. And it changes him in ways that you could argue are good, but you could also argue are bad, because he's still a good guy, but now he can make more callous decisions without suffering as much guilt as he once did. And he also takes a more active role in things that he might have left alone before, so trying to take more control in situations where he can. It even changes his relationship with the girl he loves. Everything that he was previously changes, and it's one of my proudest moments because it's not black and white. It's not like, oh, he's better or he's worse. He's just different and it's complicated and he feels real because of it. So for today's homework, I want you to brainstorm ways that your characters are going to grow and change throughout the course of your story, because you don't want them to stay static. You don't want them to just be stuck without learning anything. You want them to grow and become either better people, or if you're trying to make them into a villain, grow to be worse. Consider physical changes, skills learned, psychological changes, and any enlightenment that they may come across throughout the course of your book. And of course, more than one character can experience growth and change, and they can change in multiple ways. It's okay if it's complicated, it's more exciting if it is. Just try to take the time to put into words exactly how it is that they are going to develop throughout the course of your book. I have a couple of ideas for how my characters are going to change throughout the course of the story, so probably more towards the psychological and enlightenment side. I don't think I have anybody, at least in this series, who's learning how to fight bad guys. So I'm excited to jump off and do this. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button below if you haven't already, and then I will see you guys tomorrow for day 15 of the 60-day novel writing challenge.